back at Shapiro Capital, our podcast studio. This is a part 2 from my brother from another mother, but he actually is my brother because he's my Jewish brother, J-Man. And I did a podcast with Jay, and he got me completely out of my comfort zone. And I'm not going to try to put him on the spot or make him feel uncomfortable, but I want to introduce Jay. He is remarkable. He's a really amazing son because I've met his parents.
That's right.
And he's actually really, I think, an all-amazing guy. I wish my daughter was older. I'd fix him up with her.
Damn.
But she's a little too young for him. Jay, say hello, baby.
What is up? Mark, it's good to be here, baby. Round 2. By the way, you can make me feel as uncomfortable as you want.
Yes. Yeah. So what was it like? Here's a good question. The first time you got porked in the ass. That would cut you. No, we'll cut that.
What?
I just said.
You don't have to cut it. We don't have to cut it.
Every podcast we do, I have to cut.
No,
Yeah, he cuts them up.
Interesting. You know what's interesting? I'm very happy that we live in a world right now. We talked about this briefly on my podcast where there seems to be some confusion around genders in America. And
This is a gender, the chair.
Yeah, the
chair
couch.
Gender.
The couch, exactly.
Yes, yeah. Mike gender.
So this is the pronoun. But I'm grateful because I feel like there's a lot of blurred lines. There's a lot of dudes that I've heard of through friends that are swinging both ways and they're bisexual or bi-curious. I'm just grateful that I have not 1 ounce of my being that desires to go that way. Not that there's anything wrong with it, no judgment.
Yeah, no,
But
no,
I'm grateful to be 100% straight.
When somebody asks me a question, and the question is that guy handsome?
Right.
Okay. Now, I'm very secure in my masculinity.
Right.
Okay. My asshole is closed. Okay. Only shit goes out.
What about with the Colombians, though, Mark?
My wife is Ecuadorian.
I know.
So,
But the South Americans,
she's an amazing cook, amazing woman, and I'm very grateful that I'm extremely attracted to her.
Question, though.
But,
if she
yeah.
came to you one evening and she's like, baby, I've had this fetish, this fantasy for so long, and it's crazy. I've never felt comfortable to share it with anyone, but you and I have such a special bond and connection. I would love to just put a strap on and let it go. What would you say to that? What would you respond?
I would say, absolutely fucking not happening.
Okay.
But if you'd like, you can use the strap-on on yourself.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, how do I do that? I'm like, I don't know, but it sounded good.
Yeah.
So, but, with her, she is just a very wholesome, simple girl, even though she comes across in a very outwardly sexy way because she's just a sexy woman.
Yeah.
But she's very much, what's the word?
Well,
she's very conservative.
Well, I feel like that's the ideal combination for a woman is sexy and sophisticated, wholesome, and in certain scenarios and situations, completely comfortable in her sexuality and feels fully confident and free in that way. I feel like a lot of women in 2025 are just way too loose with their sexual energy, and they use it as a weapon, right?
Well,
to get shit that they want. And
they use it to generate what they want.
Yeah.
Especially here in South Florida.
Yeah.
And I find that actually disgusting because a beautiful woman doesn't have to use her beauty and her sexuality to better herself. Typically, a beautiful woman is also very bright.
Yeah.
And a woman that is smart enough to use the sexuality, what she should be doing is actually out there hustling, creating a business, out there in the different spaces, okay? So we're in the real estate space, so you could be in the mortgage space, you could be a title space, you could be in the insurance space, you could be in the acquisition, the disposition, the sales side. There's so many spots that you can do because in this business, it's very, very, very adaptable.
Yeah.
Once you learn one concept, it's easy to adapt it to another.
But don't you think, what are your thoughts? I mean, because you obviously have a lot of people on your team, right? I believe that everyone was put on this planet with a very unique purpose and a unique blueprint to their soul. So I think it's so important that people actually discover that, like, as early as possible. What is that thing that lights your soul on fire? What is that thing that in the morning gets you excited to just attack the day with passion and ferocity? And I think right now we have so many people who are disconnected from their purpose, and that leads to a lot of depression, because it's like, if you don't see what your higher calling is, then you're just going to feel this empty void inside. So going back to what you were saying, I think there's also a lot of women who are in their masculine energy. One of the reasons why you're attracted to your wife is because she's feminine, right? As a masculine man, you like the polarity of having a feminine woman, and that complements each other very well. If there's a woman and she's very in her masculine energy, right? And she's all up in her head and disconnected from her heart, as masculine men, we're not gonna feel that same gravitational pull towards her. You know what I mean? So what are your thoughts on that in regards to balancing that?
Well, before I respond, I have to tell you that your level of articulation and the way that you phrase things is absolutely beautiful. It's brilliant. And in society, we have lost that art of talking, because everyone is texting and everyone is keeping their head down. And communication is essential to success. So that feeling that you get from another person that elicits an emotion, it's unique into each of us. It's unique into anyone. But the true being that we have doesn't come from us. It comes from above.
Yeah.
Now, in Judaism, we have what's called a neshama. And when we're born, it comes down from Hashem, from God, the Eibishter, and it's inside of us. And as a Jew, and as you continue to grow your Yiddishkeit, your Judaism, in doing more and more, you're uncovering more of your neshama.
Yeah.
So they said that Yitzhak was a well digger, which he was, but really what he was doing was he was uncovering people's neshama. He was uncovering the stones so that the stones could turn into water, and the water is the harvest of going closer to Hashem.
You know that's, sorry, were you
No,
gonna say something? No, what's cool is when I learned that the Hebrew word for soul is neshama, and the Hebrew word for breath is neshima. So they have the same exact root, and it's just a reminder that our breath is the most powerful portal to connect to our soul. So it's like whenever you're feeling stressed or anxious, whether it's business related, relationship related, always return back to the breath. And then it's reconnecting to the present moment, reconnecting to our neshama, you know? So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah. As you become more religious, the way of your life just evolves to a much higher level. And as you learn more and more and more, and as you spend more time learning, studying, you evolve to a higher level. So you're peeling the different layers of you, and you're growing at such a different pace. And then when you listen to some of these rabbis, and they're so insanely brilliant, and you have the aha moment when you say, holy shit, that happened, and then now I'm living it, and then you told me it was going to happen. So when you close your eyes and you go to sleep and you think about your day, and as you pass out, you're connecting on a different level. So for me, we say the Shema 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Morning, evening, and at bedtime. And that helps keep the connection. And then when I do it at bedtime, typically I'm tired. Sometimes I fall asleep in the middle of it.
Oh, really?
And Gabriella will wake me up and say, honey, are you finished? I'm like, no, I'm not finished.
What do you do for your sleep hygiene? Is there anything that you do like before bed to kind of reflect on the day?
Always prepare for the next morning.
Yeah.
And the next thing I do is take a nice hot shower because it relaxes me. And then I just sit in bed quietly before I'm ready to pray. And then I pray.
Yeah.
And I'm typically passing out because I wake so early. My mentality is I want to, the moment my eyes open, I want to own the day. I want to take the day on. So I just feet on the ground, say Modani, wash, go make some coffee, say a prayer on the coffee, and then I start to read Tehillim.
Hey, bless the coffee. One of the things I started doing in 2025, right before I go to bed, is I just write everything that I'm grateful for that happened that day. And it's such a valuable exercise for me because it allows me to actually remember the events that took place that day. And whether it was a challenging moment or experience or something that was really cool that happened, it's like all part of my gratitude because it all contributed towards my expansion and growth. So that's one of the things I'm doing. And sometimes in between, like while I'm in the middle of that exercise, I'll also fall asleep. That's how you know you've had a good day, I feel like, when you hit the pillow against your head and you're like, surrender. I'm ready to get a restful night, you know?
What was the most difficult decision that you've had to make recently?
Difficult decision I've had to make.
Yeah.
What would you define as recent?
In the last 12 months. Post-COVID.
I would say the most difficult decision I've had to make in the last 12 months. That's a really good question. I mean, honestly, I think one of them that comes to mind, I don't know if this is actually the most difficult, but one of them was I was dating this girl over the summer that I really, really liked. I loved her.
Did I ever meet her?
No, because we were like pretty much abroad all summer. She hasn't been to Miami. And she's not Jewish. She was in Israel with me for 2 weeks. And, you know, after she went back to her hometown in Romania and I went to my friend's wedding in Italy, kind of just made the conscious decision that I need to marry a Jewish woman. And
wow.
And
Amen.
Yeah, and like there's still parts of me that question, like, you know, I wouldn't want someone to convert for me. I would want them to do it based on their own free will. It's just an interesting thing because I feel like, especially the Jewish women in Miami, I don't want to say they're not so great, but in my experience, it's been very challenging to connect with an attractive Jewish girl in Miami who's also very connected spiritually, right? Because you go to these big Shabbat dinners, there's 300, 400, 500 people. And out of that collection of humans, there's maybe 3 or 4 women that are like, oh, damn, like she's nice, right? And they're used to getting so much attention. So similar to these girls on Instagram who are probably 6s in reality, but they use these filters, they put on makeup, and all of a sudden they're getting all these DMs from dudes. So their ego is so inflated. They think they're so hot, when in reality, they're pretty empty spiritually, right? So this is oftentimes what happens, especially in a place like Miami, is because we get so connected and we attach so much value and self-worth to the material things and our physical appearance, we lose connection to the things that really matter when it comes to forging a deep connection. So that's been kind of a challenge that I've been navigating. I'm also going back to Israel this summer. So my intention now that I'm going back single is to really just attract that life partner. Yeah. The Israeli women are just different, bro. You know this.
They are, and they, a lot of them are very pretty. A lot of them are very exotic. So we have a former Miss Universe that lives in my building.
No way.
And she's Israeli.
What?
Yeah.
I'm just hearing about this now. Who is she?
Well, they go to the shul on 12th Street.
12th Street.
And Shomer Shabbat, yeah.
She's Shomer Shabbat too.
Uh-huh.
She married?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, married kids.
Oh,
so.
okay. She's a little older.
But they are out there.
Yeah.
And they are pretty incredible. It's, with everything, it's everything Hashem does is for the good.
Yeah.
Everything Hashem wants to do is for your good. So that person like this is going to just pop into your sphere.
Yeah.
Okay? And you're going to know when it happens.
How quickly do you think I'll
Right
know?
away.
Really?
Right away. The first date I took this girl out on.
Yeah.
Okay? Gabriella. And I knew.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely feel it. I feel emotions and energy very strongly, so I feel like it'll resonate. Because to be honest, man, sometimes I'll just because I like enjoying myself, I work very hard, so I like just enjoying nice things occasionally. And, so I'll take girls out to dinner and stuff, girls that I know. And, they're beautiful and they're fun, they're cool, but, I don't really feel a deep connection to 95% of them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'll only go somewhere because it's a place I want to try and eat dinner at. I want to try something new, something like that. And it's just fun to share that experience with someone. So yeah, man, I'm excited. I know that I'm never going to fully tap into my full potential as a man until I am a committed husband and a committed father. Because I feel like when I am showing up and providing for my family in that type of way, it's going to force me to level up in every other area of life. And I'm actually so excited for whenever that time does come.
The fact that you actually know that, you're way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Because most people don't know what they want. Most people think they know what they want. And you saying that I want a Jewish wife, okay, that is number one, that warms my heart, makes me kvel inside, Yiddish, makes me warm.
Damn, Mark's getting emotional over here, guys.
So having that becomes your true north.
Yeah.
And then that unison can guide you through anything.
Was your first wife Jewish?
My first wife was Jewish.
Yeah.
She was a Reformed Jew. So
Yeah.
when I told my religious grandfather, my grandpa Eli, I was marrying a girl who was Reformed, he said, "Oh, so she's a shiksa," which means a non-Jew. And I said, "Yeah, but we're going to have a conservative house." He said, "Okay, it's still not really Jewish." I'm like, "Okay, Grandpa, but we're going to keep Shabbat." He's like, "Now you're getting better."
Yeah.
Okay? And my closest relationship to my rabbi was a Chabad rabbi, and she was the one that pushed me away from them. And when I became a Baal Tshuva, my business took off like a rocket ship.
What's a Baal Tshuva?
That means
someone who observes Shabbat?
No, a Baal Tshuva is somebody who becomes religious.
Okay.
Okay? So that's a newfound person who becomes Orthodox.
Oh, okay, got it.
And celebrates Shabbat, eats kosher, and does all the things that you're supposed to do. So that changed me. Then I started to have incredible success in business. And she got upset because we gave money to the different rabbis. And she said that all they ever do is come by and ask for money. And I said, "Honey, that's not it. It's our job." I said, "The money doesn't belong to us.
Yeah.
The money is something that we hold on to, and we give it away." Okay? So you have to understand the way it is in the Mishnah, because that's how it is. So, or in Kitzer, it just gives you a guideline. It gives you a GPS for your life. The Torah is a GPS. It's going to give you a true north.
Yeah.
Hashem is always going to be there with you. He's never going to let you down. He's always going to be with you. but it's going to be based on his call, his timing. His timing is always perfect, but it's based on when he wants to help you.
That's something that's tough to understand, right? Because it's very easy to compare our lives to other people's and get obsessed with not having what we want when we want it. And it's very important that I feel like for me, it's very important to understand that my timeline is my timeline.
Nobody else's.
Exactly. So it's very easy to get caught up in the comparing game when you see like a 21-year-old dude on Instagram flexing his Lambo. He's doing a few million a month. It's like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, what is he doing? Right? It's like, come on now. I got to step my shit up. And it's also important to just honor your process and journey, recognizing that nobody has walked the path that you've walked. No one's overcome the obstacles that you've overcome. And really understanding that all of our timelines are so unique.
You cannot ever compare yourself to anyone. It is your journey. It is your time frame. It is what you're doing, okay? You look at these guys and you can't even think about what they're doing. And half of it is probably not real.
Was there ever a time when you were younger, though, where you got caught up in that game?
I made a lot of money very early
Yeah.
in my career. And we got to a point where we were very well off. And I remember when we divorced, because I divorced my wife. Her name is Susie. Don't call her Susan. Because she was a really good mother and a really good homemaker.
Yeah.
But she wasn't a good wife. And I wasn't even in her top 3.
Yeah.
Because the kids were first. Her family was second. Her friends were third. And then I ended up being 4th.
So this is actually really interesting because I asked my parents about this. My parents have been married for 47 years.
Amazing.
And I asked my dad, I was like, was there ever a moment where you thought that you guys would separate and get divorced? And he said, the only time where it felt like it was actually somewhat close to happening was when they had my brother. They gave birth to their first child. And all of my mom's energy and attention went towards raising him and pouring into him. And my dad just felt like, yo, what the fuck? Like, where's my love? Where's my intimacy? And I think it's really important to understand from a Kabbalistic standpoint, we're all vessels to receive the light from the Creator.
Right.
So if you are in an intimate relationship and, you know, it's husband and wife, and then you introduce this third vessel, some of the mother's light is going to go into this new vessel, which means it's going to potentially subtract from the existing vessel, which is the husband. And that's going to cause tension because this attention that was now given to my dad was now given and redirected to my brother. And they didn't really have the awareness because it was their first child. They didn't really have the knowledge or self-awareness to understand how to navigate that. And I think that's pretty common from what I've understood talking to a lot of people who have been in marriages, who have gone through divorce, is a lot of times if you don't know how to navigate the energy allocation with kids, a lot of it gets misdirected or redirected and you lose some of your intimacy in the process. So it's interesting to hear kind of different people's stories.
Yeah, I wasn't a good first husband.
Yeah.
When we started to have difficulties after all the kids were born and she stopped liking sex, I went outside of the home. And I'm probably my biggest failure, forget real estate deals because they fail all the time. My biggest failure is the failure of my marriage because that made me leave my 3 daughters. and I fought for joint custody for 2 years with her. And I used to travel back and forth to Connecticut because she packed and left, and that's where she was from. So that is my single biggest failure. Absolutely. Crystal clear.
And I met one of your 3 daughters, right, at dinner?
That's one of my 4 daughters.
Okay, so
That's the youngest. That's Isabella.
Okay, she's 19.
Right.
2 of your daughters are married?
So one is married, Madison.
Okay.
She's 30.
30.
Sarah's 32.
Okay.
Okay. She's engaged. And then Carly is 29.
Okay.
And she's not engaged.
Is she with a dude?
She's with a woman. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Very hard thing for me, but you know what? She's my daughter. I love her. I respect her. She's magnificent. I mean,
Wow.
it's insanely beautiful. I mean,
Now, was she dating women when she was younger, or is that a recent thing?
she had a girlfriend before
Okay.
who was a college basketball player and then a basketball coach. And I think I blame myself for the fact that I left their mother, and there's some level of emptiness from my own being selfish by divorcing their mom. This is why she likes women, because you know, I don't really know if she's truly a lesbian.
Yeah.
Okay, all I care is that she's happy.
Yeah.
The woman that she's with seems to be phenomenal. She's actually a famous chef. Her name is Tess Sinatra. Actually, she's very pretty on top of it. And I'd kind of like to just hang out with her and drink and eat,
yeah.
okay? Because the shit she cooks, she's crazy.
Okay.
The girls have their own channel. Now, Carly's a lawyer.
Oh, nice.
That's the 29-year-old. My oldest is a lawyer, but they don't practice law. They eat food for a living. They have a huge following on YouTube.
Okay.
So
That's really interesting. Yeah, I think there's actually a lot of women who have turned lesbian, not necessarily because they were genetically wired to be intimately and physically attracted to a woman, but they had a series of traumatic events and experiences related to a man, which kind of forced them in this mindset of like, yo, all men suck. All men are douchebags. I can't feel safe with a man. I'm going to try switching teams and seeing how that works for me. And I think there's actually a lot of women that are straight and attracted to men, but have been so disappointed in their experiences that they've actually switched teams and are now dating women. So I don't know if that's the case, but it's actually something that I think is quite common, which is kind of interesting. Yeah.
you know, I've not given it a whole lot of thought. The only thought is that I see she's happy.
Yeah.
And that's all we want for our children.
That's amazing.
We want our children to be happy. We want them to feel good about themselves. And I believe that Carly does feel that way.
If you could go back in time, Mark, would you have more kids than 4? It's crazy you didn't have a son, by the way. I guess like all these guys are kind of like your
kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're my fucked up kids, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tanner with his baguette hat and Adrian screwing everything up all the time,
Yeah.
you know, and then never admitting to it.
Oh,
You know?
really?
Adrian. He's Adrian.
Is Adrian here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one in shorts.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, yeah. So, look, we take good with bad.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know, people matter. In society, relationships have become so disposable. Okay, I see this with a lot of people. The moment you disagree with somebody's position, they get offended. Tanner, can you grab the coffee off my desk? They get offended, or just give me a shot of espresso, please.
Ooh.
You want one?
Thank you, Daddy. Can I have another?
You want one?
Thank you. I honestly, I don't feel like I need it, but I'll have it just because I want to take a shot of espresso with you.
Tanner, can we get a shot of espresso for both of us?
Come on, baby.
Thanks,
Hit me.
bro.
Hit me.
So where was I? Can we get a shot of espresso for both of us? Just have Adrian do it. With brown sugar. Yeah, I never make them do anything. I like making my own coffee. I make the coffee in the morning. I clean the dishes. I clean up the yard.
Well, that's good. That's good that you
That's
lead
what a
by
boss
example.
does.
Yeah.
That's what a boss does, you know. What were we saying?
We were talking about, I asked you if you would, going through your experiences now, knowing what you know, would you have more kids? So you have 4 daughters. You never had a son.
So I just recently got married, okay? And I know I talk about her a lot. And we don't always see eye to eye because she's fucking me in a woman,
Yeah.
okay? She'll rip you apart. And, you know, it's like I tell people, look, I'm always going to be fair with you, but the moment you do something I don't like, you do not want me to be your fucking enemy.
Yeah.
Because I will destroy you.
Yeah.
And I just did that to somebody that owes me quite a bit of money. And I served them with a foreclosure notice on their birthday for their house. So you don't have to play fair, okay? But treat me with the same respect you want to be treated with. So would I have more kids? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I have never felt this healthy, this energized. At age 64, I'm going to be 65. It's March, in May, 2 months.
Are you having a big fiesta?
No.
No, come on, bro.
No, bro.
No, we're throwing down, yo.
No.
You turned in 65. You're eligible for Social Security,
Bro,
baby.
I got my card in the mail.
Let's go, Mark.
Okay.
Are you going to retire?
No. I got my Medicare card in the mail.
That's so crazy.
I know.
You know, what's crazy about that is we live, you know, we've been programmed in America to believe that the best way to operate this life is you graduate college, you get a degree, and then you work for the next 40 years. You get one promotion to the next promotion to the next. And hopefully, by the age of 65, you're able to retire, you're financially free, and now you can enjoy your life. That is such a fucked up narrative. Like,
Of course.
Are you really not going to live your life those 40 years of your prime? And when I see you at age 65, like, you have the vitality and the energy and the passion of someone in their 20s or 30s. And that's what it's all about. Like, that's what we should strive for. You know, is actually just pursuing our purpose. And that is the thing that's going to ultimately give us life every day. You have no desire or interest to stop working. Like, you're working harder than you ever have.
This is actually harder than real estate.
What is the content and stuff?
The social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much harder.
Well, maybe it's just it's
Real
also,
estate's easy.
Yeah. Because you've been doing it for decades.
It's super easy, okay? People just have some kind of aversion to doing it. It doesn't make any sense. And we do that with simple concepts, and people actually do well with it.
I actually have an idea that I wanted to run by you to see what your thoughts were.
Sure.
Because from what I understand from our brief conversations, most of your real estate investments are domestic, right? In the U.S. Have you gone outside the U.S. yet or no?
Never.
Never. Do you have any interest to or no?
Don't.
So,
Did I hesitate?
no, you didn't hesitate.
No. I get asked all the time.
Yeah.
People want to fly us to Dubai. People want us to come and speak. We've been asked in the last, I'll say it, in the last 4 months, 7 people have reached out to us. 7 people have offered to pay our speaking fee and our travel fee, okay, to come to Dubai and speak.
Yeah.
And I said, if I come to Dubai, I don't want to speak
Yeah.
because I don't know anything about your market. But I'll come, but I want to see what Dubai is.
Yeah.
Okay? So my perception of what it is and what the reality is could be two different things.
Right.
My perception and reality of what the state of North Carolina is because I have owned and operated there.
Yeah.
Or Georgia, or Virginia, or Ohio, or Florida, or Texas. All these things is based on experience and knowledge. So,
Oh, this is so beautiful.
wow. Hey, thank you so
Oh
much,
my
bro.
gosh.
Turkey.
L'chaim.
Wow, brother. Cheers.
This is Gabriella's horses. She loves horses.
Yeah?
Yeah, she loves to ride.
You're her horse. She loves to ride your horse.
Yeah, but she didn't do the strap on.
El Caballo.
El Caballo.
So one of the
Bro, it's hot.
ideas. This is I feel so sophisticated, like drinking espresso like this.
Like this.
So
What you got to do the pinky though, right?
yeah. That's
Hold on,
from my
let's-
mom.
Let me do the pinky. Oh, there we go.
Right
the
there.
Pinky. There we go. Very nice.
Oh my God! Once it hits your lips, I don't
gotta-
get how people don't.
I gotta
drink
go over
coffee.
here. I gotta go over there.
And the decaf thing, people
Yeah.
drinking decaf.
You know how they make decaf?
Yeah, it's
Dry
not
cleaning fucking fluid.
Yeah, it's
bro.
not healthy. Yeah, we should talk about health, man. We should talk about health because that's one of my expertise. You're continuing to tap into more of your health and longevity, right? And right now, we've had a crisis in this country. America's never been more unhealthy,
Obese.
right?
Supersize this.
Exactly.
Supersize that.
And it's crazy.
2-for-1 cookies at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that we live in a world as well. You know, you have 4 daughters, and
Well, Gabby has 2, so we're at 6.
so 6.
And she didn't say no to having more kids.
That's amazing. My mom had me.
She
at
didn't say
43,
yes,
by
but
the
she
way.
didn't say no.
How old is she?
43.
That's when my mom had me. This is for all the women out there who think they're too old to give birth to a child. My mom gave birth to me at 43 years old. I'm a miracle, man. Doctors said it was impossible, but my mom's like, I'm going to defy the odds. I feel like there's a soul that I have to birth into this world. 9 months later, Mark, I came here, man. I saw, I conquered. I'm a fucking miracle child, baby. Anyways,
Bro, I love that.
the fertility rates though are insanely low. Like because we're exposed to so many environmental toxins and microplastics and all of these other chemical residues that are in our food supply, so many people are actually struggling to give birth and have children, both men who have low quality sperm and women who also aren't as fertile as they once were 10, 20, 30 years ago. It's really interesting. So,
I got my high school girlfriend pregnant,
oh, nice.
and we went to Planned Parenthood. I got another girl pregnant
Damn.
when I
okay.
was getting divorced,
Okay.
and I got a third girl pregnant when I was getting divorced.
Okay.
All 3 of them decided not to have the child because I was not going to be marrying them.
Right.
Okay. My first wife, Susie,
Not Susan.
yeah. So when I was mad at her, I used to call her Susan. If I didn't call her Susie, and it's not S-U-Z, it's S-U-Z-I.
Oh, wow. I could have told you
yeah,
that
we
marriage
had to
wouldn't
name
work.
our first big boat the Susie Q. And then when we traded up to a bigger ship, it was the Susie Q2. And we had to have Susie Q sweatshirts, T-shirts, hats,
God, Mother.
coasters. I'm like, well, what do we need this shit for?
Sounds like a very
So when
high
people
maintenance.
come, I give them stuff. So, but she was like that. She was a very giving person. She had 2 miscarriages. So I'm sure that if Gabriella wanted to have a child, we could do it.
That'd be amazing, bro.
So I would like it, but then she's like, yeah, but you're 65. When the child's 20, you're going to be 85.
I don't think it
I'm
matters.
like, but
though.
honey, it's different now.
It's
okay?
different.
You know, with all the anti-aging stuff and all the stuff that we're doing,
Yeah.
I've never felt this good. I've never had this much energy. I've never been this fucking horny.
Damn.
Okay?
Daddy.
No rabbis. Guys, don't tell us. The rabbis can't listen to
No,
this
it's
stuff.
good. That's one
Okay.
of the most.
And
It's one of the most healthy things. By the way, I'm sorry to cut you off.
you're not cutting me off.
But one of it's if you want to know, like as a man, if you want to know if you're healthy, there's a very simple test that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And that test is if you wake up in the morning and your soldier is saluting you.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning. I'm ready for action. That means you are a healthy man because you have a lot of blood flow generating through your genitals. And if you have blood flow flowing there, you likely have good blood flow to your brain, to your tissues, to your muscles. And heart disease is the #1 killer in America every single year. Mm-hmm. So one of the best things you can do as a man is making sure you have healthy blood flow. How do you do that? You work out, you move your body, you get optimal sunshine, you eat foods that are rich in nitric oxide like beets, arugula, wild-caught salmon, and you take advantage of this beautiful body that you've been gifted, right? And you don't poison yourself with all these chemicals and plastics and all of that stuff. Yeah, so that's good to know that you're activated at 64.
64, not 65 yet. So, and talking about wild cod salmon,
Yeah.
Gabriella brought some home last night, even though she had a little dinner party for a couple friends last night. And that's what she's making for dinner tonight.
Mark's about to get it on tonight, boys.
So,
That's,
it.
that. If you want to subscribe to Mark's exclusive content, hit the link in the description. That's his OnlyFans. And I might be joining some of that content.
Look, I have nice feet. See, they're little. You can hang them up on your... Isn't OnlyFans for feet?
No, that's just one fetish, Mark.
Oh,
I have nice hands, though. You know,
that's another fetish?
By the way, let me see your hands, Mark. Do you wear gloves when you work out, don't you?
No.
Really?
No, I pick my calluses. You
pick your calluses. So this girl I was with the other day, she was asking me, she's like, oh my gosh, like you have those calluses on your hands.
This years and years and years, you won't get them. So
well, no. I mean, I've been
pull-ups
lifting
on a pull-up bar, but it's got foam on it.
No, I've been lifting for a while. So like, I feel like I honestly don't really trust men who don't have calluses because it's like,
how old are you?
34.
Oh, you're a kid.
Like if you're
I have 3 decades on you.
Come on, dog.
That's crazy.
You have exactly 3 decades.
Yes, that's crazy. When's your birthday?
September 10th.
Right before September 11th.
This is true.
That's when Ziva's birthday is September.
I got I'm a Virgo energy. That's what it's all about. I mean, in general, Virgos are known to be perfectionists, very organized, borderline OCD. If something is out of alignment,
I'm not borderline OCD. I'm full-fledged OC fucking D.
And
Go look at my desk.
Here's the thing, by the way. We've been taught that OCD, ADHD, anxiety, we've been told that these are mental health disorders. It's complete bullshit. Like ADHD, OCD is actually a superpower if you know how to use it in the right way, right? If you know how to direct your focus and your energy and your obsessive behaviors towards something positive, then it actually becomes a superpower. But our society labels these things as mental health disorders and then tries to feed you a medication that just numbs you and disconnects you from your true essence. It's fucking bullshit, bro.
I have to share a great story with you, okay?
Let's get it. Story time.
So my father was a dentist, and he was very organized, and he was very OCD. He was meticulous about everything. And every Sunday, we would have our room inspection. And our drawers had to be a certain way. And we had to fold our underwear a certain way. And there was no in between. And we would have that inspection after Sunday dinner. And every fucking Sunday inspection, I would fail. And I knew that I had done everything right all the time. But it would just be one little thing. My socks were out of line, or the bed wasn't made the right way, and I would fail. Fast forward to when I'm an adult and I'm having a conversation with my brother over a beer, and he tells me, you know, I sabotaged your room every Sunday inspection so you would fail.
Wow.
I'm like, bro, why the fuck would you do that?
Yeah.
He's like, because I wanted Dad's approval. I'm like, well, you had Dad's approval. He's like, no. You were Mom's favorite, you were Dad's favorite, and I just wanted to make you look bad. And then he went on to tell me, and when you were a little kid and you used to spill your milk, you weren't spilling your milk. When everybody was looking the other way, I would spill it. I'm like, bro, you caused me such trauma. He's like, really? I'm like, no, it didn't fucking bother me. None of the shit you did bothered me. But obviously it bothers you to tell me.
Yeah.
So, and that was talking to my brother in a mental institution.
Oh, he's in a mental institution
He
now?
suffers from, you name it, he suffers from.
Is he still in one?
He's in and out. The last time I saw him, we were in an institute for living. It's in Hartford. Not a pleasant experience.
He's older than you?
Older than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, one of the most challenging things that I haven't really talked about too much, but yeah, my only brother, my older brother, has bipolar. And dealing with a loved one, a family member who has bipolar and these unpredictable manic episodes is extremely challenging, because there could be a day, a week, or even a month where things are flowing well, where it seems like things are getting so much better, and then one day out of the blue, there's a manic episode, bro, and shit gets completely flipped and chaos ensues, and it's really discouraging, because it's like, damn, I thought we were really making progress, and now things have reverted backwards.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's tough, man.
It's been going on since the early 2000s. My brother's gone through electric shock therapy several times. That does help. He is schizophrenic and bipolar. And because he's one of these guys with a super high IQ, he will read something and he'll diagnose himself, and he'll take the symptoms on and become that. So we went through a period where he thought he had Parkinson's disease, and he was shaking all the time, okay? And the crazy thing is, he's a brilliant guy. Like my nephew, who is the youngest PhD in an applied mathematics program through MIT. At 24, a PhD in applied mathematics. And he works at an innocuous organization in Washington that he builds bombs for. That's what he does.
You know what's interesting, though, is going back to what you were just saying, there's 2 points. The placebo effect is extremely real, right? So we saw this very clearly during the pandemic. People who were addicted to mainstream media and who really bought into this agenda of fear that was being pushed upon everyone, right? The masks, the social distancing, all of these things were designed to infuse fear into everyone. And then what happens when you're operating from a state of fear, anxiety, and lack? And then you have these people in the government who apparently have your best interests in mind telling you, hey, get this experimental jab because it's going to eliminate any chance that you get this virus, any chance that you get sick or, God forbid, die. Get this jab, okay, and everything will be okay. And when you're operating from a state of fear, you're going to just conform. And that is what we saw the last 4 or 5 years. We saw a society filled with sheep rather than a society of people who could actually use sovereignty and free will to make a decision that's actually more beneficial for their health and their family's health. And another thing too is, I'm sure you've seen this, is, bro, sometimes it's the smartest intellectual people who suffer the most with mental health challenges, right? Because sometimes when you're operating at such a high level intellectually, you are disconnected emotionally, and you're disconnected from your heart because you're spending so much time in your head, thinking, analyzing, judging, etc. So it's really important, if you are someone who has a high IQ, to really do the spiritual work so you can match that IQ with your EQ, your emotional intelligence, right? And I think that causes a lot of pain to these people because they're so in their head all the time. They're overthinking everything, and they lack like the ability to actually just be present. You know what I mean? So how much of success do you think is intelligence versus like just absolute relentless hard work and commitment?
The majority of success is being relentless. The majority of success is, you don't have to be a special person. You have to be able to never give up. You have to be able to get up on the days that you're tired. You have to be able to solve problems when you can't solve problems. You need to be, and the word relentless is absolutely amazing. You need to be consistent to a fault. Okay? So take what people say he's the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. You take him, okay? He came out of college, I believe his draft pick was like 199 or 191, okay? Played pretty well in his senior year in college at Michigan, but really didn't, get picked. He was slow. He was not in the kind of shape that he is in today. But he had this one ingredient. He was fucking relentless. And he pushed himself, and he pushed himself to get uncomfortable and to get better and better and better. And that is the key to success in anything. You never quit, you never give up, and you never let anyone see you fucking sweat. You remain calm at all times, even in the face of disaster. You take a step back, you think clearly, you figure it out. Hashem won't fail you. So, if you go on a rant and tell everybody who you are.
Me? Right now?
Yeah.
Damn, man. Well, Tom Brady's from my city, by the way, San Mateo, California.
Nice.
He went to Sarah High School, so he went to high school like 2 miles away from my house. So I feel like hopefully
Amazing.
I got a little Tom Brady DNA inside of me. Which actually, before I tell you about myself, DNA. This is something that's really important. You've obviously come a long way in your journey, right? I think, and I just posted a video about this, I think one of the most important skills for any man to cultivate within himself is understanding how to control your sexual urges and really channel your sexual energy in a productive, creative way. Because sexual energy is actually the most powerful life force inside of us. And if we can learn how to actually not give in to the instant gratification, but actually channel that energy towards our mission, towards our purpose, and towards building things that actually make a positive impact in the world, we're going to be absolutely unstoppable as men. And I think that is one skill that I'm continuing to learn. And we talked about DNA with Tom Brady. One of the things I'm also learning is, like, on a spiritual level, we were joking about like sex and intimacy and butt play and all of these things. But just to circle it back, right? Judaism and Kabbalah actually teach us that sex is one of the most spiritual acts because you're literally joining forces with another soul and exchanging energy in such a powerful way. So when you have sex with someone that you're actually deeply connected to, it's a mystical experience. On the contrary, though, if you're just having sex and being very loose with your energy, you're going to take on other people's energy that you're sleeping with. You're going to take on some of their emotional baggage, some of their traumas. And you might feel that for a day, a week, a month, even longer. Even when you kiss someone, even when you exchange saliva with someone, you're exchanging DNA with them. So this is just valuable for you to think about. Next time you're about to hook up with someone, ask yourself, do I want that person's DNA inside of me? And maybe they're an amazing person. You're like, yeah, I do. Okay then, awesome, beautiful. But it's a good question to ask yourself, right? Before you're about to make that decision. Anyways, who am I, Mark? Man, I'm just a fucking child of God. I was just put here to remind people how powerful they are and how much potential they have inside of them. On my own journey, there's many times where I was disconnected from my true essence. And throughout the inner work that I've done, I've learned that I was put here for a very specific reason. And I believe every single person here, all 8 billion of us, have a very unique purpose for our existence. And I think once we actually discover what that purpose is, we'll live a life filled with fulfillment. So the biggest intention for me with everyone that I work with and anyone I get to interact with is how can I just bring this person more light? How can I bring them and empower them to step into more of their power and potential? And honestly, the more people I can impact, the more good it feels for me. So I just want to keep growing myself so I can help others expand and unleash their potential. Yeah, man, because the truth is, like, this life is so temporary, right? It's like, I'm sure you know, you're 64, I'm 34, but it's like the older you get, the quicker time goes, right? Because if you think about it, I'm 34 now, so every year that passes is like 3% of my human experience, as opposed to when you're 3 years old, another year passes, that was 25% of your life. So as we get older, each year is going to move quicker. So it's so important to treat this life as a ceremony, to treat it with fragility and preciousness, and really maximize every moment and treat every breath as a blessing. So I just want to keep showing up in that way, man, and enjoying life and inspiring others to do the same.
I got nothing to add to that. That is actually magnificent. And guys, here, we're going to have to do a part 3. This may be a monthly podcast that we're going to have to do.
Let's get it.
And do some crazy ass shit.
Ooh,
okay?
Daddy.
With Jeremy Duncan, the basketball.
Daddy.
On the basketball court out here.
Mark, the hoop's set to 8 feet, so like I think
Bro,
you can even.
So I can dunk it.
I know.
I did a dunk, but Tanner disrespected me on it.
He swatted you?
No, he disrespected me. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm emotionally hurt. I don't think I can. Okay. So I used a step, and then I went to jam it, and it didn't go in. So, guys, we'll see you back here shortly with the J-Man. I'm going to see the J-Man for Shabbat. Let's go, baby. Love you.
Let's fucking get it. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate y'all. Peace.